All right, everybody, this is a guided walkthrough for the Turbine Challenge over on EchoCTF, which is part of their CTF Beginners Network. So let's go ahead and talk about what we're doing in this challenge. So it says here in the description, it says, can you make the wind turbine stop? It says one of our wind turbines is running uncontrollably. Can you force it to stop in order to send our engineers in there to fix it? So what we need to do is we need to scan the machine. Okay, so if you wanted to scan the machine, well, you've got their IP address over here, and what you want to do is you just want to go over to your terminal. You want to run an nmap scan. So run an nmap scan. We'll run it pretty fast, and we'll try to figure out what ports are open on the system. So we'll also run it very verbose so that we can get some output before the scan is finished. Okay, so let's see. So just to let everybody know, this is the port that we're looking for is the 1337 or the LEET port. So we can confirm this by scanning just that port. If you, well, I mean, the nmap scan could take a really long time, and that's why I'm cutting this short. Okay, so this confirms that the port is open, which means, well, we actually don't know what kind of service is running on the port. Okay, so we'll just confirm what kind of service is being run on this port with this nmap command over here. It should come back relatively quickly, and we're going to find out that this is actually an HTTP. It's actually running HTTP, which means we can access this on our web browser. I'm just going to access this in the Burp Suite web browser because we're going to need to inspect some packets in Burp Suite in just a little bit. So I'm just going to give the port number over here. And this is going to give us access to the application. We see here that this is Wind Turbine Monitoring Station 42. And the challenge here says that one of the wind turbines is running uncontrollably. Can you force it to stop in order to send our engineers in there to fix it? So we see here that there's a button labeled Emergency Shutdown. If we click on it, it tells us this. This action can only be performed from localhost. So this is an endpoint here. It's called shutdown.php, and we can't access it from the web app because it says it can be only be accessed from localhost. So what we have here is an example of server-side request forgery. So the application has a button which is supposed to shut down the turbine, but we can't access the page, and we get an error message indicating that the page can only be accessed from the localhost. So localhost restricted, this is the endpoint here. It's called shutdown.php. So to solve this challenge, we need to force the application to return local access content, which would be an example of server-side request forgery. So what do we need to do? If we take a look at the requests in Burp Suite, we can see that after each request we make, the server we make a request to the refresh.php page. So let's go ahead and take a look at this inside of Burp Suite. So in Burp Suite, we're going to go over to the Proxy HTTP History tab, and we're going to navigate all the way down to the bottom. So along with our request to shutdown.php, we also see all of these different requests to refresh.php. I'm going to put this into a repeater tab. And we see here that there's something suspicious about the refresh.php endpoint. If you can identify what the suspicious thing is, let us know. So if we take a look at the requests in Burp Suite, we see that after each request we make to the server, we make a request to the refresh.php page. So there's a redirect here that goes from the endpoint. It uses the endpoint URL parameter, and it points to an endpoint here called API, and we can actually substitute this out. So the most important part of this request is the URL parameter called endpoint, which implies that the parameter is used to load in other resources. So if we know we need to access the shutdown.php endpoint to finish the challenge. So we can try accessing it through the refresh.php page's endpoint parameter. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to go back to Burp Suite. In Burp Suite, if we send this request, so this gives us an HTTP OK, and we can't render for this for some reason. That's kind of weird. But anyways, this gives us some output here. If we wanted to take a look at what this looks like in the web browser, this is what it looks like. Okay, so we basically get some the HTML code. It looks like the HTML code for the landing page. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to replace the endpoint that is being referenced. Instead of API, we're going to use shutdown.php. So in Burp Suite, we're just going to replace API with shutdown.php, and we're going to send that request. And we get a flag. So it says you shut down the system, here's a flag, and we get a flag. So we're just going to copy this flag, and we're just going to confirm that this is the correct flag by submitting it to the to EchoCTF. So we were able to access the endpoint. We're able to use server-side request forgery to access the local-only endpoint shutdown.php through using the refresh.php's endpoint URL parameter. So let's go ahead and submit this and complete the challenge. So we submit the flag, and it's going to tell us that we've claimed the flag before, because we have, of course. And all right, everybody, that was a guided walkthrough for the Turbine challenge on EchoCTF as part of their CTF Beginners Network. If you enjoyed this guided walkthrough, please click on the like and subscribe buttons on the video and leave a comment underneath the video. But until next time, HackerFrogs out.
Hey there, HackerFrogs! Are you enjoying this workshop? Learning new concepts and skills? If so, there's a way you can support the channel, and it's totally free. Just click on the subscribe button below the video. Also, click on the like button. And if you have questions or comments on this workshop, please leave them below the video. Thanks for listening. And now, back to our scheduled programming.